What is up, folks? We are back for episode 6 of the Harv podcast. Apologies for missing last week's episode. There were some technical difficulties in scheduling. But today's guest, Bamboo Bear, she is a content creator on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, all over the place. We will have links to all of those different things in the comments below, so feel free to go back and check those. Not the comments, descriptions. I'm off today. It's been a crazy weekend. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy it. Bamboo, thank you. I definitely feel like it's easy to, I did before I started creating content. I most certainly would watch people on Twitch or YouTube videos and go, oh, it can't be that hard, right? It's just a button and click it and go. And that's all you have to do. And it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It is so much more than that. So are you only on Twitch right now? Is that the only place, or?
In terms of live streaming,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I'm social media wise, everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I post shorts and things. My YouTube is laughable right now because I keep saying I'm going to go back and edit videos and actually post, and I haven't found the times.
That's a hard balance though, because it seems like you stream pretty often too, though, right?
Yeah, especially, so I'm in education, so I have the privilege of having summer off. And so I have the ability to stream 4 or 5 days a week during the summer.
And how long, typically, how long do you stream for each day?
So it used to be 3 or 4 hours, but during the summer, I am now pushing for 6 to 8 hours. Just make it a full workday kind of thing.
Yeah, so basically full time.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm having to get used to making sure I take breaks and standing up and getting water.
It's easy, especially if you get lost in conversation in chat. At least I think it was for me. It was super easy for me to just get lost and not pay attention to it, and then look and go, I haven't eaten anything in 8 hours. I should probably take care of that.
Yeah. And then you get up and you're like, ooh. Oops.
Oh yeah. Leg falls asleep, knees don't work. Oh yeah, that's happened a few times. And I've had some lower back issues over the years, so it's real easy for me to stand up and go, oh no, this is not gonna be
ouch.
good. Yeah, so I have to watch that too. But yeah, okay. So and how long have you been streaming for?
I just had my 1-year anniversary last Friday-ish. So I actually started because I have summers off in my field and I enjoy games. Yeah. So I was like, I'm bored. Everybody's working. I'm going to find something to do during the day. Because everybody's like, oh, it's so nice you have summers off. I'm like, yeah, but everybody else I know is working. So what am I going to do? So I started last July. So it's literally just come up on a year.
It seems like you're doing really well, though. I've definitely lurked a couple streams because I was curious. And it seems like you're doing really well. Community, seems like a really chill community, and everybody seems to have a good time.
I'm glad it's forming that way. You never know.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, there's some.
I can try to direct it, but
yeah, the internet's a interesting place to say the least. So where did the ideas come from of just hey, I'm going to start streaming? Where did that idea come from?
A mix of things. I've always thoroughly enjoyed games. I knew a lot of friends and people, including my brother, who had at one point said, I'm going to stream. And it just kind of seemed like this thing where people were trying and it wasn't working. So I was always I had wanted to try it, but I was like, well, if other people can't do it, am I entertaining enough to do it? Or is it something that I could actually do and be successful at? So I kind of had pondered it back and forth for a while, but one of my friends has a group of friends that she plays games with on PlayStation, and they all kind of were just like, no, you should just try it. You have summers off. Just try it. We'll come on. We'll all follow you. So you have a few people. But it was a month of me just talking to myself, being like, no, it's okay. It'll go somewhere. But it was a mix of wanting to do it and loving games and having the time off in the summer, giving me nothing to do, and people telling me, oh, you should just, you would be funny. So
yeah, I can identify with that, especially that month that you talked about where you feel like it's just talking to yourself. man,
From like
that's
July until until affiliate really, you're talking to yourself.
yeah, it's rough. It's rough because there's so many people on any one of these platforms at any given time, and I don't know if it's still the same as it used to be. I'm pretty sure it is, but like on average, the majority of people on Twitch are broadcasting on Twitch.
hmm
And
And I think that, and I didn't even realize this, is a lot of people don't even get to affiliate, like even to that first step.
yeah, you're
And
actually a high percentage, believe it or not. Yeah.
uh,
It's the same way with like YouTube. Like if you're essentially if you're making money like ad revenue style on YouTube, I mean it's a small percentage actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
because a lot of people don't. It's the grind. It's nothing special about me other than I kept going and I kept doing it. And I'd get one person in chat and I would just talk to them for hours. Like,
that's what it takes sometimes. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's easy to go through that first month and then the results don't pan out and just walk away from it. I'm
Oh,
sure there's
yes.
tons of people that do that, and yeah, I think sometimes perhaps people are thinking it's going to be something instantaneous. The results are going to be within a week, and all of a sudden, millions of people are going to know who you are. Like it
It's
doesn't
not,
work like that. Yeah.
we're not Justin Bieber on YouTube and someone's not Usher coming.
Well, and I think it was easier because it's easier to look at people that are really big on the platforms and go, okay, well, they did it. Okay, well, you have to understand that the majority of them, when they started, these platforms were a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you gotta. I mean, I think about like somebody like Tim the Tap Man, right? Like when he started broadcasting on Twitch was so long ago, and there wasn't nearly as much competition as there is today.
No,
You know?
no. It's like you look at a category even, and I mean, like, you have to be realistic with yourself. Is if I'm playing, I play a lot of Arc. If I'm looking at Arc and I'm like, how many streamers are streaming in the category of Arc right now?
Mhm.
It's a lot of people. It's hundreds of people. And it's like, okay, so if I'm just a person watching Twitch and I'm clicking on Arc because I want to watch someone play it, I'm not scrolling down to find the person at the bottom of the page with one viewer. I'm going to click at the person at the top
Yep.
because one, I'm too lazy to do that. And people want things quickly. But also, why would you pass those people unless you get in there and you're like, no,
Yeah.
this person's not for me. Then you go to maybe the second or third.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely it's kind of a two-edged sword there because naturally, if you see somebody more people watching one person over another, and it's the same criteria
Yes.
that you're looking for, you're more likely to go after that thing that most people are going for because chances are you're going to like it. But yeah, I mean, I am one of those people every now and then that I will go to the bottom of those pages just to get curious. And some of
Just
the
to see.
streamers, but some of the streamers I've found down there are pretty awesome. Like it's just, yeah. So yeah, it's double edged. I think I don't know how they would do it, but I wish Twitch would find a different way of how to show those categories with people on them.
Yeah, not just viewer based would be nice.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly how you do that because, I mean, to a degree, even YouTube does it to a degree, right? Like if I mean, it could be tagged. There's an
Yeah.
algorithm, right, with tags and title and all this blah 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 blah. But God, that was not something I was prepared for when I started this journey. Yeah, I didn't. Because so I streamed on Twitch for a little bit. I was making videos on YouTube,
Mhm.
primarily ARC related stuff, and that's pretty much all I was doing. And then I figured I'd live stream, but the people that I knew streamed on Twitch. So I was like, okay, let's stream on Twitch. And the same thing, a month goes by, I'm talking to myself, a couple people jump in here and there. But then for me, I was thinking, okay, if the people that are watching my videos are on YouTube, why am I not streaming over there instead?
Right.
So I moved to streaming over there instead, and it was actually a lot better because
Yeah.
there was some people that just don't like going back and forth between the platforms for whatever reason, I guess. But
Mhm.
so in a year, have you seen Twitch kind of change in any way for better or worse that's kind of grabbed you one way or the other?
I feel like a lot of the stuff that's happened hasn't necessarily impacted me. Like I know of it,
Mhm,
but in terms of like change that related to me, I would say no.
mhm,
I've seen a lot of change, but my community was so small when I started and for a long time. So a lot of the change things, and I know there's a lot of things going on with some things changing for a lot of things changing for partners. There's a Partner Plus program now. There's these hyper chats that partners have. There's a lot of things that I've seen that have impacted partners,
Mhm.
but not me. So, I mean, it looks like there are some things that they're doing that are heading in the right direction, or they have a good thought with it. It's just not being executed the way people would have wanted.
Yeah, yeah, I was when I heard about the financial change, like, they went from, like, a 70-30 to 50-50, I was like, "You have got to be kidding me." Like, you're
Yeah.
Amazon. Aren't your pockets deep enough at this point? Like, I think you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're doing alright, and, oh my
And it's
gosh, I was
it's
so shocked when I saw that because no other platform's doing anything close to that. Like,
no.
YouTube 70-30, Kick's doing something outrageous right now, but, like, all of these places are not doing a straight up 50-50.
Well, and affiliates get 50-50. So what is other than having the check mark and more emotes and things that really only impact like maybe your marketability or your community seeing or being able to do things,
Mhm.
what is your motivation to become partner other than like being able to say that you're partner and going to like if you go to TwitchCon, going to the one partner party a year and the special events, like there's no motivation now to be partnered. Instead, it's like you have to be partnered, but then you also have to be in this very niche group of people. That is, and the requirements are insane from what I've seen to meet. It's a very
Wow.
small amount.
And
So,
I think I think with the partner, you're kind of restricted about where your content goes to a degree as well, aren't you?
a tad. I think that I know a lot of partners can still do YouTube. I'm not sure what's going on with. There's a few other platforms that you can't stream on, though. You are limited.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it was something along the lines of like when you streamed, like you couldn't use the stream to make videos for like a certain amount of time. I think maybe that's
Yeah,
what I'm
and
thinking
you
of.
can't stream on multiple platforms at once. Like I don't think you can stream. Like if you're streaming on Twitch, you can't also be streaming on YouTube. You
Oh,
can't do them at the same time. I think TikTok is different. I believe you can do Twitch and TikTok at the same time, but there are stipulations on if you're streaming on Twitch, you can't be other places at the same time. You have to use videos after a certain amount of time. A lot of nuances.
and that's only for
It's only for
partners, or is
partners.
that affiliate? It's only for partners. Yeah. So
I
there's no
believe
real.
so. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
really
like
impacted me. I don't do that anyway, so I'm sure I'd have to look into it if I started.
yeah. For sure, but yeah, it just
But
seems like you're only at least from what I've talked to other people and what I've read myself, it almost
mm,
feels like you're handicapping yourself by going through with the partnership stuff. And I'm not
in
sure
some ways, yes. Yeah.
what the thought pattern is there. Like if is it just is Twitch's idea maybe just being exclusivity, like bragging rights almost? Like I'm not
What are they,
I'm
PlayStation?
I guess like maybe I
Everybody
guess
wants
it
to
could
be
be.
exclusive, PlayStation only.
Yeah.
Uh,
But YouTube has it just same problems that
oh,
all
yeah.
all these platforms do.
Yeah.
I do think it's like incredibly interesting though how some of these like glaring faults don't get solved by these companies that are like the biggest in the industry. It's very
hmm
silly to me.
And there's a lot of feedback. And especially if there's feedback from your partners, you would think you take that into consideration
For sure.
because they're your money.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I just I don't know if that I don't know if they understand that, right? Like if everybody just up and checked out of whatever platform that is tomorrow, like you're gone.
You don't
Like
have any money. You're all done.
yeah, yeah. In a weird way, the platforms need the content creators much more than the content, especially
Yes.
nowadays, much more than the content creators need the platforms
Oh, for
because there's
sure.
like a million of them now. So you can go
You
anywhere you
can go
want.
anywhere you want it. Everybody,
Yeah,
you can stream on everything. You can stream on Facebook if you want
yeah,
it.
everywhere, and people do it
Uh,
and do a really good job at it. So
yeah,
it's
they
like,
do.
yeah, I think all of these, I think every social media at this point has understood that that's going to be a thing that's going to be
Yeah.
wanted and needed just for that reason.
hmm
I think it's why you see like things like Rumble and things like Kick spin up as well for the,
Yep.
for the same reason. I don't know how I feel about Kick though. I don't know if you've looked into that at all.
I made an account with my name so it wouldn't get taken.
Same.
And that's all I've done. I I don't know how I feel about it. It feels like what they're trying to do is nice, but it also feels like it's not sustainable to keep the income that the ratio that they have. I think it works because they're small. I think it will get changed. for sure.
Yeah, because that was something crazy, like a 90-10 split. And I was like, that's awesome, but how long is that going to work?
And after you have a certain amount of streamers getting really big, making that money, it's not going to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the more people you got, the bigger overhead's going to be at that point.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're going to be
I don't
sustaining
know.
a lot of broadcasting and not making like any money.
Right. I was curious that anybody really tried. I don't know if you were where you were or into or watching Mixer when that was around at all.
No.
So it was kind of the same way. Like Microsoft's like, hey, we're going to start our own thing, and that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It pretty much went the same way.
Yep. I've heard of it.
Well, they didn't. All they did was they made a live streaming platform. The layout was different. Obviously, it looked a lot different, but ultimately, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
So it didn't stick around. But it also fell into the same bucket of owned by a large company and still unable to fix all of its problems.
Which is that makes me laugh.
It's mind-boggling.
It is.
Like, I don't know.
It's not like a big ask either. It's like little nuanced things that wouldn't take that much money and employee effort to fix, or shouldn't.
So was gaming always a thing in your life? Is that
Yes.
what kind of so it's always been active?
Oh yes.
I
was born in the Pokemon age, so I had the cards, I had my Game Boy, then it was Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and like every Pokemon you could have. And then I got a Nintendo 64 as soon as I could. I had a Sega. I've had, I think, every Nintendo system, 64, GameCube, Wii, Switch. I've always gamed. For a while, it was Pokemon and farming sims. Harvest Moon was huge for me. Loved those games. And the developers for that left, so it's not great now. But I'm like, okay, well, but just that kind of evolved into just everything. But I've always been a big fan of cozy games. Then getting into like MOBAs and survival games was relatively newer, but I've always liked games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just the what appeals to you most, do you think? Is it just the entertainment? Is it, some people use it as like escapism, de-stressor? Like I know I do,
I think a little bit of all of it. I love competitive games because I'm, without sounding too confident, I'm decent at games. I'm not gonna like go hit up a Mario Kart tournament at a local bar and win. But I'm decent. So like I always did like Mario Party games and things with my family, and like that competitive nature like comes out in board games, comes out in video games. I just like doing it. I like winning. I like rubbing in people's faces. I'm not going to pretend that I don't do that. Everything from that to if I'm stressed to just like I read in the same way that I play video games. It's just a de-stressor. It gets me out of my own head. I have very bad anxiety, which everybody is always surprised because I think a lot of people attribute anxiety to like always seeming nervous or social anxiety, or like they're like, oh, well, you go out a lot, you have a lot of plans, like you don't have trouble talking. I'm like, well, it looks different for everybody. But I take medication. So a really good relief, like just to get out of my own head, is games and reading.
I can
relate.
Which
is weird because I'm an extrovert.
Well, so I'm a bit more introverted, but the social anxiety was definitely my problem when I was younger. And I don't think I really realized it then. I don't think I realized it until I grew up. And I spent a lot of years with my head firmly planted up my own behind. So once I dislodged it and started analyzing what I did and how I behaved, I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
And no, I agree. I think and I also think that anxiety, people wear it differently. Two people that, and I don't wear a lot of emotions on my sleeves either. So if I am anxious about something, nobody really knows.
No one knows.
There's World War III is going on in my head, but everything else looks fine. And yeah, I found video games to be that escapism from that sometimes too.
Yes, mine didn't come out until college. I think it was also because I'm a homebody. I liked just having a place, and I moved away. And that's when it really started to like be less in my head and more as like physical symptoms, stomach aches, headaches, just not feeling good. And that's when I was like, huh, it's weird. You're not feeling good all the time, but it seems to be whenever a big change is happening. uh,
Coincidence, maybe. Just maybe.
Yes.
I love it. Oh man. I had a question right in my head and it just like zapped out that quick. It's been a weekend.
You're broken.
Man.
It's okay.
I'm running on like caffeine at this point. That's it.
You got parent brain, puppy parent brain.
Parent brain, puppy parent brain, all the brains. All of them and none of them at the same time, basically.
I have post-wedding brain, so went to a wedding last night and I was like, I got up this morning and was like, thank goodness it's not till later.
Yeah, I mean, after the night that I had, yeah. I think I got like an hour's sleep between like 5 and 6, and that was about it. Oh boy. But you know, it is what it is. So streaming pretty much immediately a year ago. And so what do you think some of the biggest like I'm trying to figure out exactly how to word it. Like things that you didn't necessarily think you were going to run into that you did run into. Like that, but like biggest like unexpected events, I guess.
I guess there were some good things and some bad things. So unexpected good things was when I had been streaming for a while, the ARC community. I liked ARC and I played ARC just because I enjoyed it. And I play Smite because I hate myself. And I think it was a while in and I really started to feel like I grew when I got rated by a streamer who is a really good friend of mine now. And he's an ARC player. And he rated with like 45 people. And I had like 3 people watching. So
that was probably awesome.
Freaked out. And then like I just met him in person like a few weeks ago, like came out to visit. We went out and we've been really close friends, and it's been really nice to like I didn't expect in a positive way the impact that raids can have. I didn't realize, like I never did it. I never raided out after streams. I never for like a really long time. I didn't realize how much that helps build a community within streamers and being able to play games together and, you know, shout people out when they come into your stream. I didn't realize the impact that has, and it's been great.
It's kind of a way of collaboration, really, at the end of the day. And because any of these platforms are going to be more saturated than they used to be, I feel like collaboration is the best way to build at that point.
Yes. So that was an unexpected thing that was positive. Unexpected negative. Well, there was a lot of things that were negative that I expected. I am a female and I'm playing video games on a platform that is no longer only about video games. So that's a whole thing. But that was expected. Yeah. I kind of knew the internet. Unexpected is like the other weird stuff. Like this happened the other day. I had like a slew of what I can only imagine to be middle school boys, like all time to like come into the stream together. Like it was like new first chatter. And they were all just coming in together and just saying like not anything with me being a woman, just like random insults. And I'm like, well,
people have anything better to do.
I'm like, what? Who coordinates that? You coordinate. You don't know me. You've never been in my channel before. You just coordinate to all come in together, slew a bunch of insults, get banned. Bearded bans them all immediately.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
and I can never tell if it's that or if it's somebody with a bot running a bunch of accounts. Like it's so
true.
hard to tell. But God,
bot stuff too, very unexpected. They're everywhere. Half the time they don't even count as viewers, and like you're looking and who's in your stream. I'm having to go through and ban because they don't count as viewers. They're not doing anything. I don't really feel comfortable just having a bunch of bots watching me. I'm good.
I get it. So have you had a lot of this happen with like the people in chat?
Coordinating things or just coming in. I mean, the things people say, my favorite one is that someone came in and they were like, "You remind me so much of my cat." Thank you. See, that's what I said. I was like, huh?
Oh boy.
And I was like, I don't know where this is going. And they're like, no, just you're so happy and joyful. And, my cat's happy and joyful. And I'm like,
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, compliment, I guess.
Everything from strange compliments that don't make sense to
as long as they like their cat, it's a compliment, right?
I know, I'm like, do you enjoy your cat? And you can be like, no, because my cat's a bit.
Exactly. Like you don't know if you're being set up or not at that point.
I know. I'm always afraid to follow up. Like if someone says something like that, I'm like, tell me more. Should I ask you to tell me more? So everything from just random things said to people coming in. And then I've of course had like people come in and say, "Oh, I'll buy you a hot tub," or "Oh, I want to be blah 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 with you right now," and blah blah blah, blah. Which is comical because I wear shirts like this.
Yeah, it's just. I was talking to. I had a podcast and sat and talked to Once Upon an Alley, and we kind of had that same discussion where I was like, "Listen, I get that stuff exists. I don't agree with it. It doesn't do anything for me. But at the end of the day, if you're not hurting anybody, breaking any laws, live your life, do what you want to do. Just don't expect me to get on board with it."
Yeah.
But where I definitely get frustrated is that inadvertently they're now creating a stereotype and an expectation. So now you have a bunch of these random douchebags that are running around jumping in other people's chat pulling this card,
expecting that you'll do stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. I just
that's where I'm at with it. I don't mind the streamers that do other things, but I just wish it wasn't within the same platform so that this platform remained about gaming so I wouldn't get this as much. I'm sure it wouldn't go away, but it wouldn't be an expectation that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like that genre's done more harm than good, really, for sure. I've heard other women tell me that, and I've seen it happen where it just creates more problems for the people that don't want to go down that road.
No. And if I don't want to, I don't want to.
And it's so weird that it happens like that. And that's how strange the internet is to me, right? Like nobody would do that just like walking down the street,
Right.
Because you'd knock them out and then that would be the end of it. But it's okay for this to happen. Like, I don't know. I guess there's only a couple reasons. Like either you're completely oblivious to what you're actually doing, or there's no real repercussions. And that's why you're acting like a jackwagon on the internet, I guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you kind of touched on it. I feel like, especially in live streams, like chat is almost like you playing choose your own adventure. I feel like, like you just never know what your response or what their intention is or where it's going to go after that sometimes.
Oh, yes. It's sometimes, and I think I always give people the benefit of the doubt. So sometimes I see something that like it's probably going to be bad, whether it's like an insult or it's it's probably not going to end well, but I ask anyway. My mods are always like, "Why did you bother?" And I'm like, I thought maybe they were going to say something nice. Don't know why, but that's me. So I'm just going to keep doing it. And then one time someone will surprise me, maybe.
So you definitely should be. You should definitely keep that. I think so. Even, and you're right. Even if 1,000 times it doesn't work out, it might work out once. So
someone maybe just started off saying something that sounded bad.
It happens. I mean, I've had people come in to chat because I live streamed on YouTube too, and I'd had people come in, and I think sometimes it's funny because they'll come in and just throw random insults. But early on, I'd like to be a little feisty with it, so I would start throwing insults back.
Yeah.
And I don't think those people understand that you kind of have the upper hand, right? Like
you can say a lot more very quickly.
Exactly. I can do whatever
and you have
I want.
people that back you in chat. So, yes, but, I love when people do that.
But some of those people that I went and did that with ended up being some of the people that watched like every other video I ever made.
Yeah.
And genuinely had fun with it. Like, so it's so weird to tell. I don't know. I oftentimes feel like the way that text back and forth is no way for human beings to really communicate sometimes.
No. Yeah, it's a mix of people coming in saying weird things, and that with the being a woman streaming thing, the other negative impact that I've found is that I'll get people that are like, oh, you've only done this well in a year because you're female. And I'm like, it's not for my stellar personality or my perseverance to keep streaming. And
Well,
it's
and again, I think once again, there's a category that might have applied to. So now it creates this stereotype that it's everywhere on all bases.
That I don't have to work as hard. I was like, you do realize that there's like more female streamers now.
Absolutely.
I mean, in some categories, I wouldn't say all, but there's a ton. I'm like, it's not that special anymore.
No, it's way more common than it used to be.
Yeah.
Way more common. I don't know. I would argue that women make better streamers in general, just because you're better at conversation than most of them are, I think.
I find that I feel like educators in general, we make a lot very good streamers because we're used to juggling a lot of kids at once. So I'm used to remembering everybody's names right away. I remember everything that you told me the previous day. Things that you want in a streamer where they're like, you said yesterday that you had a job interview and I'm going to ask you the following day when you pop in how it went. Because I'm used to doing that with kids. They tell me something random. I'll remember all their names. I'll be able to have 5 conversations at once. I think those skills that make a good educator make a good streamer. And I'm finding that there are a lot of streamers that are educators. We are well-spoken. We're used to being in front of people and we remember all that stuff.
Well, I mean, it definitely plays to your advantage. Yeah, I mean, like, there's something to be said about, like, if I tell you one day on your stream I'm going to a job interview, and the next day you ask me how it went, like, that's a person that I don't know from anybody, like, complete stranger, other than the fact that I know what you look like, that remembers that. Yeah, that definitely that leaves an impression. That's how you get people to stay and hang out and build a community, I think.
Yeah,
and I think I agree with the rating part too. I feel like, I think the first time I got rated, I didn't know how to react to that, because it's kind of something that you watch happen to other people and you're like, whatever, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
And then when it does, you're like, is this for real? Is this for real happening right now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely wild. And I feel like on the YouTube side of things anyway, like shout outs from other people in the same genre that you're doing as well, right? So like in the beginning, probably the first 2 years of me doing YouTube, it was nothing but ARC related content. And I don't know, I was less than a year into it, maybe like 4 or 5 months into doing it. And a very big Mr. Miola actually gave me like a huge shout out on one of his videos from a build that I did, and he used that in his playthrough. And I was just kind of like, it's kind of mind blowing when that happens.
It is.
It's still like, even when I think about it today, like I really don't know how to describe it. It's yeah. So I think that's definitely something I've always tried to pass that along too with other people that I've worked with or seen or watched before too. For that reason, I think it's that collaboration is, I would argue, probably one of the most important things as far as building around here goes, because of how saturated this place can be.
I agree. I found a very nice community of people. I watched one of my friends this morning get a rate of 457 people.
Whoa. Whoa.
She freaked out. And I was like, see, that's what you want. She had never even met the person before that rated her. She must have just been looking and found somebody to, do that same thing, give back. Maybe she had gotten a lot of rates to get to where she is. But I've been trying to even do that too. People that are pushing for affiliate, or just like,
sometimes I need that bump.
And I have a few people in my community that I know stream. And if they're streaming after I'm done and my community knows them and they've got 4 people watching, we'll go there because they are part of the community.
Yeah, everybody's in it together for sure. I wish YouTube would get their act together with that, because they had like this rating thing, but it doesn't really work well. Like craps out like 99% of the time. Like,
Twitch is what doesn't normally bring everybody with the raid.
It doesn't?
No, I found that, and I've had to start like pasting the link to where we're going in the event. And I'm always like, in the event, you don't get brought with the raid, because I've had a lot of people say, did you raid out? I was watching you, but now it looks like you're just over and I'm not anywhere. And I was like, no, it just didn't bring you.
Get it together. Oh, Twitch.
Yep.
It will insert any platform, but it doesn't really matter what you use. Oh gosh. So right, so it looks like you're streaming a lot of ARC and a lot of what was the other one?
I play Smite.
Smite, sorry.
And I, now that it's summer, because I'm streaming longer days and more frequently, I added Cult of the Lamb because that game looked cute. And I enjoyed as much as I thought I was going to. And I played the Stanley Parable. I don't know if you've heard of that game.
No, actually, no.
It's a very funny game. I played that for my 1 year, like during my 1 year anniversary. I did a subathon thing and was trying to find games that I don't normally play. And I played that, but I didn't finish. Like, you get different endings. It's this stupid game about a guy named Stanley in an office, and you have a narrator like narrating everything you're doing. And they're like, and then Stanley walked through the left door, and you can walk through the left door or you can walk through the right door. And the narrator will be like, and Stanley obviously doesn't know how to listen to directions because so it's like this really funny, like the narrator tries to tell you what to do. Yeah. You can choose to listen or not listen or stand in the broom closet, and the narrator just like reacts to you. It's very funny, but you get all these endings of how you die, basically. And
oh, wow. Johnny ending to that. Huh?
Yeah. And I wanted to finish all the endings because chat and I were cracking up. So I'm like, I gotta re-put that back in this week so we can finish that because it's a really funny game. It's super cheap, and they do a lot of like making fun of other games. There's like a whole part to the game where one of the endings gives you like all of the Steam ratings of the game, and it like makes fun of like all the negative reviews they got on Steam, and they're real reviews. I looked them up. I had to know. They like took people's negative reviews of the game and like put them in there.
I love it.
Oh, it was so good. It's a good game for sure.
Oh man. But so as far as like genres go, you're pretty diverse, kind of all over. It seems like. Yeah. So
yeah.
Is there a specific genre that you kind of glue to more than others, or is it kind of a phase in and out sort of thing? Or
in terms of like games I play off stream because I want to be slouched in my chair or laying on the couch, it's cozy games like just farming games and things like that. Rune Factory, Story of Seasons, Harvest Moon. But stream wise, I'd say. No, I don't think I have, because Smite's a MOBA. I tried League of Legends. It's not for me. I have to sneeze. Wait. Never mind, it went away. Oh, that's gonna hurt. All right. Smite is a MOBA. Ark is a survival game. Cult of the Lamb is, I don't even know what that's classified as, but it's a cult building game.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen that one. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you would. Yeah.
And so I'm kind of all over the place. I try to stick with games that, because my fear, and I've seen it happen to people, is they stream games they know their community will like, or they stay with a certain genre, and it might not necessarily be games they would have picked for themselves, but they're pushing for partner, or and they want to keep that up. So they're playing games they think their community will like, which is fine. When I pick games to add, I think of things my community would like, and then I find a game that I like and I play that. I don't just stick with one thing because I know that I'll get more viewers if I play only survival games, because Ark is kind of my biggest category that the most people follow me for. That
community in general is like rock solid. Like, yeah. But
I'm not going to play Ark 4 days a week and burn out on Ark and not enjoy it.
I can relate to that one.
Yeah, it's really easy to do because Ark is a lot. And if you're playing it for I'm streaming 6 hours a day, 4 days a week, that's way too many hours of Ark a week.
Yeah, you're going to hate the game in like a
I'm
month.
going to hate the game. It's not worth getting to partner, because what I've seen happen is people will do that and then they'll get to partner and they'll just stop and they'll play something else because they're done. Mm-hmm. And they got partner and they'll play other games and they lose a lot of their community, which I guess if you're okay with that, then it's fine. I really enjoy my community and I'd like them to stay around. So they put up with me playing Smite on Mondays. The Smite's not their thing, but I have gotten a few people that are like, that I joined for Ark that come on Mondays that have downloaded Smite because they've watched me play that. And they're like, I'm going to try that. That looks fun. Like, it's not fun. No, I'm just kidding. It's fun, but like it's maybe not for everybody. And I have less viewers that day, but that's fine. I have a set few people that love coming every Monday because they like having someone to play with every Monday for Smite.
And the trade-off is keeping your sanity a little longer, I think.
And I'm still enjoying Ark, and I'm enjoying myself playing Smite. Cult of the Lamb is similar. But then you also get people that aren't in the Ark community that come in and maybe they've heard of Ark or enjoy watching it too, but they've been watching Smite streams or they've been watching Cult of the Lamb and they come in and they're there for those days, but you bring them in your community with those games and then they stay around. And that's been nice too.
Yeah, I definitely got burnt out with Ark for the same reason. I was doing that for like 3 years plus. It was streaming Ark, making how-to videos on Ark, mod reviews on Ark, builds on Ark, playthroughs on Ark, and it was. I swear, at one point I was doing, and this is a 40-hour work week, and then on top of that, I was still pumping out like videos every week, every day almost, and then streaming twice a week on top of it. And I was like, and if I tried to incorporate anything else after that, nobody showed up. Nobody showed up at all. So finally, I just got pissed off with it, and I said, "You know what? I'm just going to do what I
want." No one shows up. No one shows. That's the thing. Is it's like I didn't want to. I knew up front I didn't want to do that to myself. So yes, I'll put, if I want to add new games, I'll typically put in my Discord, like, here are all these games that I like that I'm thinking of adding. Which ones are you guys interested in seeing? This way, I'm still picking games I enjoy. I'm not burning out on playing Ark, but I'm also keeping in mind that I do enjoy my community and their support, and I would like to keep their, opinions into consideration. It's just not going to be the only deciding factor for me.
Do you find that sometimes it's hard to get that opinion from the community?
They're getting better.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't say anything, or at least at the beginning, I would like place something for a vote in the Discord, and I would get like nothing. I'm like, well, I guess I'll pick.
Just play what you want.
Yeah. But now I've been doing like the reaction posts where I just react with a certain thing based on the game that you like better, or I do cosplays for a community goal. So it ends up happening like once a month because my community dumps points into it. And I pick the ones that I want to do and I let them decide between them. And for a while I was just picking, which is fine, but they've gotten more opinionated or more comfortable telling me what they actually want, which is nice. I'm like, well, I want you guys, that's why I put it up there. Yeah, I want you to tell me.
I think that's like every creator's dream, is that everybody who watches their stuff is involved and like speaks their mind about things.
Yes, because that's what, I enjoy talking with them. Of course I want to do stuff that you guys enjoy too.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're building a community, and unless you're building a community of like mimes, like you kind of want to know what people are thinking, and you want to hear their voices,
Yes.
I found that incredibly frustrating sometimes, like whether it be stream or YouTube, right? Like how many people are watching versus how many people are commenting on a video versus how many people are actually watching it. And I was more like, somebody would comment on a video early on and I'd be like, holy shit, somebody said something. Like it was almost like you have to pry it out of them sometimes. Which can be odd, and I've done the stream vote thing, like on Discord, where I'll throw a few titles in there and just say, hey, react this way, and it'll be like the day, like hours before the stream starts, and I'll look back and there's like the same 4 people that would vote, even though I know there's more than 4 in the stream. I'm like, yep, come on guys, really?
Yeah.
So man, that's such a pain in the butt sometimes.
It is. My community's I'm glad they're getting more comfortable, but my Discord's getting more active, which has been nice. It's really hard to do that because that happens organically. Yeah. You literally can't do anything except maybe post a post every day to like get people talking. But like I have a lot of Ark channels and I have a server that people play on, and like watching them talk and conversate because they're in the server playing together, and like people who have always played Ark alone, being able to play with someone else they don't know is super cool to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely built a couple of people that I still play games. I haven't really touched Ark in a while now, but probably a few, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, 4 months maybe. But
you mean that wyvern in the back is just for show?
It's still installed. I actually updated the other day. I just haven't wanted to turn it on in a while.
A lot of conversation too, even while I stream Ark, everybody's hopping in and all new people are like, what do you think of ASA? What do you think of Ark 2? Because there's so much drama with
the Ark. I have a nice opinion of that.
And having to rebuy it. Are you going to buy it? All this. I was like, this is what I get asked constantly.
Yeah, I get
It's all
that.
the talk right now,
Yeah, but
which
before
is
that, it was
fine.
like, how do you feel about Arc 2 and Vin Diesel and all this other stuff? And I'm like,
And I'm like,
nobody
it's
wants
never
to
gonna
know.
come out anyway. So
Yeah, I'm like, none of you guys want to really know what I think, right? You want me to sit there and tell you it's going to be wonderful, and I can't wait.
me being me, I am. I'm like, oh, I think it's gonna be wonderful, and then I'm just gonna be disappointed. But
I just, for me, it was just the way the business model kind of went. It just seemed like just shady to me. Like you
yeah.
had a community, a very dedicated community on this game, like just
Hmm.
huge. Like the amount of stuff that like I've seen so many groups that do so many crazy things, and I've actually been a part of a few of them, and the following for that game is so strong compared to a lot of other games close to it.
And it's a close knit community.
It really is, and when I saw that they were putting out a second game, I was like, okay, that's obviously sounds pretty cool. But then when
Yeah.
they would show you videos and tell you things that had nothing to do like with any of the stuff you did in the first game, I'm like, aren't you kind of shitting on your own community when you do this?
Yes.
Like it seems a little weird. And I thought maybe I was like, okay, maybe I'm not putting myself in check. Maybe this is their way of saying, well, of course it would have everything that we had previously, but we're also adding all this other stuff.
Yeah.
They just should have said that maybe.
Maybe.
But
It's
yeah.
okay. Everybody keeps asking me, and I'm like, well, it's never going to come out. So,
Probably not. Probably not. Probably get pushed back to like
yeah.
2030 or something like that.
Well, and that's the longer you push it back, the higher my expectations get because you're
Yeah.
pushing it back. So I'm assuming
Cyberpunk.
it's really amazing. It's like how they pushed back the Zelda game, and it was in fact amazing. That's what you have to live up to is like
Yeah.
a perfect release. Then, if you push it back, it has to be a no bug perfect release. Which
Yeah. I mean, look
with,
what like
with
Cyberpunk.
Ark,
Like when Cyberpunk, there was like 2 or 3
Mhm.
years of this blah 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 blah, blah and trailers
Yeah.
and videos and titles and everybody like was very unhappy.
Yes. If you're going to push it back, you have to have like limited bugs, really good release, quality content. And that makes me nervous for them because Ark is not known for its no bugs.
Nope. It's kind of like Bethesda games. I think the community just kind of accepts it open hand. They just hug it. They hug all
Yeah.
the defects of it. You know?
We really just make fun of it now. I'm like, yeah, look at that dinosaur floating, or this one died and its body's like meh, into the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The jellyfish floating in the air. Like
Yeah.
that's been going on for like years and nobody's bothered to fix it. I'm like, come on.
No,
guys,
no.
Really?
Some of them are like endearing at this point, and so
Maybe that's it. Maybe they just kept him there for that reason.
then you
you know?
learn to love them. Becomes a staple. I don't know. I guess that's what the staple of your
Sometimes.
game is, the bugs.
Sometimes, yeah. Like I said, I
Building
think
mechanics.
I feel like Bethesda does the same thing, like throughout all the Fallout games and stuff like that. They've definitely had the weird stuff happen too, so maybe that's part of it. But
It's part of the.
it also takes a lot to make a game these days. That's for sure.
We're asking for more and more every time, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Better
that's true.
graphics, more story, longer gameplay for the storyline. Da 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 da.
Well, yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. They constantly have to keep one upping themselves. So
Yeah.
the bar that they set, they now have set it above and directly put it above themselves, which only makes things a little bit more difficult for them. You know?
Hmm.
Now, are you only streaming like PC stuff, or were you streaming console stuff before, or has it only been PC?
I don't own a console, so I have. I
Oh,
mean, I
no,
have the
okay.
Switch. I don't have an Xbox or a PlayStation. So just PC. But I mean, I did stream Switch games like a while back. Pokemon at some point when it came out, but I didn't like the capture card and doing the Switch and all
That's what I
that
was
stuff.
gonna ask you about. Yeah, how was that a pain to work with?
It's a pain to work with. It's once you do it, it's fine, but getting it all set up, which is funny. I did all the work and got it all set up, and I'm like, I like to play I've learned that I enjoy holding my Switch and laying down on the couch and playing it, and I don't enjoy the games as much when it has to be docked and connected to the PC. And I save those games for not streaming time, which is another thing that I always make sure to do is like I have games that are just for me, just off stream. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They'll only play when they're streaming. And it's hard to maintain, at least in my brain, your love for games when you don't take the time to like be yourself with them.
I'm really glad you said that because I have found myself doing that over like the last year where there was things right up until the time I started streaming. There was things that or stopped streaming, sorry. There was games that I streamed and games that I played on my own. And that concept was kind of foreign to me the first few years. But I'm really glad you said that because you're right. I think you have that love and passion for something. And if you start to turn it into a job, you're going to turn around and hate it.
Yes. And as much as people can say, and it's true to some extent, well, I love streaming and I do, and I love doing that, but it's a different experience with the game because you're experiencing it with a community, and that's fine. But I know that it's not as personal of a connection with the game because I'm sharing it with people. And there are just some games I'm like, well, this one's just for me. And I'm going to sit and I'm going to make lists on my phone or do whatever. I'm get way too invested in my farming game and making hybrid crops and stuff. So like Animal Crossing and Story of Seasons games have always been that for me. It's like I always have the games that I play for me. They're just for me.
Hmm. No, I agree. I like, for me, I always like to find something that's very like kind of like something story rich to really get myself immersed in.
Yeah.
And that's what I won't stream, because then I can just kind of tune into just that and just be on planet that and nowhere else and just decompress a little bit. No, I think that's super important. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it's easy to look at, streaming and well, any content creation really, and just look at
Mhm.
it like I'm always gonna love that thing, but they don't really think of all the other stuff that comes with it. Yeah, yeah, you do the same thing over and over again for long enough, it's gonna drive you crazy, regardless of what it is.
Yep. It's insanity, right? The definition of insanity.
Yeah, exactly,
Doing the same
exactly.
thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's like at some point, if you're getting burnt out, then that's not going to happen.
For sure. Now, are there? I'm sure there probably is, but I won't put words in your mouth. Are there times where like you're just like, I do not want to turn this stream on, and if you do run into those, what do you do to kind of get yourself over that?
Um, so because I'm extroverted
Hmm.
by nature, I love people.
Hmm.
It is far and few in between where I'm having, like, I think most reasons that people will feel that way is that they're having a really bad day, whether it's a bad mental health day, something has happened, or you're feeling lazy. For me, like the being tired or the bad days, I actually feel better when I stream
Hmm.
because I come in and I have people there to talk with me about it and distract me and um, all that stuff. I've had a lot of family and personal stuff come up this year that have been a lot, and it's actually been very nice to come and talk with the community and just do my normal stuff. But the hardest times for me, I think, are oh my god, my allergies are so bad today, and it keeps wanting to sneeze and it's not happening. Um, I think the times that I find that like I really don't want to get on are when I'm like not feeling well,
Mm.
just because it's harder for me. I am an energetic person by nature. I'm smiling, and when I don't feel well, I'm like I'm not that. And
Yeah.
I always struggle. I've tried to maintain a healthy mindset with that where it is okay to cancel.
Mm.
And if I have to force myself to motivate to stream, I'm not going to be giving the content to my community that they deserve. And I would rather cancel stream that day or push it to a later time or say I'll see you tomorrow than give them like subpar me. Because I feel like that's fair to them and it's fair to me. If I don't feel good and I'm not wanting to do it, don't force yourself to do something that you don't feel good and you would rather go lay down.
Yeah, you kind of have to. It's almost like, especially if the goal is to like turn it into a career, right? Like, it's the same like if you have a normal
Take a
nine
day
to
off.
five, right? Like, you
Hmm.
don't feel good, you're gonna call out and stay home and take care of yourself, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah, for sure. I understand that. I also, even on the more introverted side of things, there's definitely been times where I didn't want to turn on that stream, but I kind of, once I forced myself to start, I was glad that I did later on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever like, at least in my experience anyway. I don't know, and I'd be curious to know if you feel this way at all. But I don't think I've ever ended a stream and felt worse than when I started it.
I always feel better.
Yeah,
Always. Yeah.
yeah. It's a strange concept. It's just a bunch of strangers I've never met hanging out in chat
But
for
they can
whatever
make you feel
reason.
better.
It
Yeah. And
does.
you enjoy talking to them. And
But sometimes that's what you need, though. Like, even from the streamer, maybe you're kind of using the community as like the therapy session almost
yeah,
sometimes. Like,
yeah, they help you talk through things or they help you get
yeah,
past it or they help you to,
yeah.
be
I also
distracted for a while.
I also think like perfect strangers with like no repercussions as to what they're going to say are more than likely going to, they're more apt to tell you what you probably need to hear versus what you wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, that's
definitely
true.
felt that sometimes for sure. Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. And what do you think has been what do you think has been the hardest thing that you've had to that you've experienced so far? Like, when I say that, it could not necessarily just streaming in general, but maybe the back end of streaming, maybe the organization part, maybe it could be anything.
Um, two things, I think.
Yeah.
Schedule setting.
Yeah.
It is hard to not get in your own head about, well, what are the times of day most people are on Twitch? When are people working? Like, not to get really in your own head about time mattering so much. I've focused on that for longer than I would like to ever admit to people when I first started streaming. I thought the main problem was the time of day or how long or this or that or nuances that in the long run don't really matter. So I think that was a really big struggle for me, and finding something that worked for me that I was comfortable with. Like, I don't stream Fridays and Saturdays, and a lot of people do because a lot of people watch those days. And as much as that's great, I know that I'm in a point in my life where I'm going to a lot of weddings and bachelorette parties and showers and this and that, and I don't have a lot of Saturdays. So it doesn't make sense for me to do that on Fridays and Saturdays because I'm doing stuff, even though that's the prime time to stream. And finding just a schedule that works for me and realizing it's not that big of a deal if you're not there on those big days. The second thing I think that was and continues to be a struggle, my setup.
Yeah.
I started streaming off a laptop. I mean, I was streaming last year off a laptop for months. I bought a PC finally and built it. And then it was, well, now you have a PC. Do you need a microphone? Because I was using a headset with an attached mic and the sound quality was pretty bad. And everybody was like, you need a microphone. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything about
There is so
audio.
much that goes into this that I don't know if everybody thinks about.
I don't know the microphone. I don't know what kind of microphone to get. I don't know how to adjust the settings in OBS and playing with audio and recording myself, listening back, changing things, Googling stuff. Like, just then getting this arm, because realizing that I am someone who likes to be on top of my microphone when I talk. I didn't know this until I bought it and I was hunching over. And everybody was like, posture check. And I'm like, oh, oops, I should bring this up to my level because I keep doing that. I got a stream deck at some point to help with ease of like scenes and getting raids and it just adding things. I have a ring light now, like just the amount of stuff. And it is constant. I'm still adding to it. I still have stuff I want to get.
Same. Yeah. I mean, even
Yeah.
I've been contemplating starting a streaming schedule again. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger or not, but yeah, that's kind of a never-ending thing because as the days go by, the technology changes and the new stuff comes out, and you're playing with it. Like, there is a lot.
You always need more stuff.
Yeah, like even something as simple as that Stream Deck. Like when I first started streaming, I didn't have that, and I knew people that did. I'm like, I don't need all those fancy buttons. And then like a month in, I'm like, I really like the idea of having all those fancy buttons.
I really need those fancy buttons.
It makes
Yes.
your life so much easier. And you're
It
right.
does.
There's so much. Like I have like 20 years experience in IT. Like that's where my career has taken me over the years. And there's still stuff like that I can't figure out. Like it just happens.
There are some bugs in OBS that I'm like, I don't know what's happening half the time, or this audio isn't working, or this or that. And
Yeah.
even just the picking your emotes and your stream scenes and like what all that looks like.
Mhm.
Also put way too much work into that. And we'll continue to change that and your alerts and everything. It's just like the whole setup of like the bones of your stream, like everything that you have out here and all the stuff on there. It's a lot of work. And it's constantly something that troubles me. And I had to.
It's almost kind of like you almost, at least I did, you almost view it like a hobby on top of what you're doing. So like you're constantly trying to stay on top of it, incorporate different things at the same time and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, it can definitely be a little overwhelming. Yeah. I mean, for me, if I don't, for me, the software side of things too, like I didn't know how OBS worked. I didn't know how Adobe Premiere worked. I didn't know what I was
No,
doing, making thumbnails or any of this other crap. I had no idea what I was doing, but I thought you
editing is
just
terrible.
hit record and then upload it and then walk away and
And
that's
it
all
was
you can
done.
do. And then you'll be famous tomorrow. And then, yeah.
And then you realize people do fancier stuff, and you're like, ah,
Yeah.
I gotta do things.
Yeah. And the bar just keeps going up and up and up and up.
And people keep finding new stuff, and then you gotta have that and do this and that, and yeah.
So we're like, so with that being said about like kind of like what you've experienced, good, bad, and then some of the harder parts,
Mhm.
what do you think some of the maybe like if someone was watching this and they were thinking about streaming or maybe have and just gotten into it, what do you think some of maybe the biggest pieces of advice may be in that particular situation?
I think I have two pieces of advice. My first, which is I already kind of touched on this, what is you will stream to yourself for a while. So just make sure you're comfortable and you find a natural flow of just having conversation with yourself. Like, don't be afraid to continue to talk to yourself. I did that, but I could talk to a brick wall. So you gotta really, you really gotta make sure that you can talk to the brick wall. Like, just keep talking because you never know when someone's popping in to like that one viewer that's going to start to make the difference. And if you're just silent, waiting for someone to come in, they're not going to type in chat. So just constantly being comfortable talking to yourself and being yourself. I think a lot of people watch other streamers and they try to do things that they do. And it's actually it's a compliment. I think I've started to notice a few people that have been in my community that watch me that I've popped in that are like, a little bit just starting. They do a lot of things that I do, or say a lot of things that I say, or have certain similar isms. And it's a compliment to me because they're like, oh, this is working. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But it also seems unnatural coming from some people, and no one wants to. It's harder to want to engage with someone who feels like they're trying to be someone they're not, unless you're a streamer who's doing that on purpose, right?
Yeah, I feel like you have to go like one or the other, at least in my opinion anyway. I feel like you either need to put on a character and play a role and and be a
Yes.
goofball with it. Like somebody like Disrespect, right? Like he just puts on this giant act and it works.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's an act, but it's a show. It's a showmanship, right?
Yes.
Or you need to be on the other side and just be you.
Yes. And it's fine to take ideas. Like if you see a sub goal that you like, make that your own. And it's perfectly fine to say, oh, I'm going to do Bean Boozled too, because everybody does it. Those things are fine, but make things your own and don't try to be somebody that you're not, because that's not, well, for starters, if you're streaming, you really got to have a lot of self-love to get into this. You see a lot of yourself and people will say a lot of things about you. So if you're not comfortable being yourself because you don't think people are going to want to watch it, or you don't, then this might not be for you. Because
you gotta have a thick skin too, I think.
Mm-hmm. And so you gotta love yourself enough to be yourself.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like if you're trying to like, and I think I've even caught myself doing this probably, where I felt like I was maybe exaggerating my personality, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like there's no long-term way to support. No, you're going to drive yourself.
You're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of that. People think I do that, but I was a cheerleader and I'm a teacher. I'm like, no, this is just me. Sorry. But people that try to do that stuff, you can tell it's exaggerated. And I'm like, don't do that to yourself. It's just be yourself. Some people like calm streamers. I'm not that, but some people like that.
Yeah, I had a history of being kind of monotone. Every now and then I would get pretty rowdy, but it depends. It kind of depends on, like, when I was streaming with other people involved, it was usually kind of rowdy. But if it was me, it was Zen stream. That's what it was. Like we were just chilling out. Yeah.
But you have a nice voice, so like you're the kind of people that people would just listen to and they're like, my ears.
Maybe I need to
tickles
start
your
doing
ears.
like audiobooks or something.
Yeah.
So one of the first guys I talked to doing this told me that. I was like, man, I missed my calling. I should have started doing like radio.
You have a good voice for it. Yeah.
Maybe I'd be a voice actor when I grow up. Probably not. Probably never happen. Probably never happen.
Do you hear that, world? He wants a voice acting job. No, I'm just kidding.
The likelihood of YouTube making that happen for me, I don't think that. I gave up on that.
That's funny.
So, reoccurring question. So, and if you watch me, you probably know where I'm going with this, but I'm always curious because the answer so far has been completely different for everybody that I've asked. If you have an end goal in mind as far as what you do on Twitch, and like if you could snap your fingers and you're there, like whatever that is, what does that look like for you?
So it's funny because as I started streaming, this has changed. When I originally started, I was like, oh, it's summer. I'm just going to do this for fun because I'm bored and I will have people to talk to. And then it turned into, I don't make that much teaching. My salary is really easy to get to and replace with streaming. So it slowly evolved into like, I actually really enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to be a mom. And the ideal thing for me now, I just moved into a new house and got married, all that fun stuff would be, thank you, would be, well, then I could stay at home with my kid. Don't have to pay for daycare. Because that stuff is no joke nowadays.
It's
anyway,
expensive. You ain't kidding there.
Make my own schedule and be able to stream full time. So what it would look like is probably being partnered, just because I feel like partners get more opportunity than with getting partnerships or sponsorships from companies. Just like building that where it would be potentially, and I don't know what that looks like in terms of like followers or subscribers or whatever, but at least kind of matching what I make now, which again, teacher salary, will be easy to do, but be able to quit and do this full time so I can be home with the kids. I've actually noticed a lot of streamers that I've recently talked to are moms that do that, and it's really nice.
I bet.
And I would love that.
And I think it's great too. Yeah, I think it's great. Like daycares are great too, by the way. Like I'm not trying to bash daycares at all.
Yeah.
But there's a distinct difference between somebody else watching your child and you watching your child. That's just how it is.
And I mean, I've nannied. I nannied over the summers when I wasn't teaching, and I've done daycare, and they're all great. But also there's like, from what I've heard, there's like wait lists now because there's just so many people working that it's like, if you have a kid, you might not even get them into daycare just because they're so full. So not even having to worry about that and being able to be home would be great, just because I love kids. That's why I went into teaching. So I'd love to be home with my own.
I feel like a lot of these opportunities have kind of arisen. Like if there's any good thing that came out of this pandemic that we experienced, I think that was kind of one of them, where people had to get creative with how they were going to financially do it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just content creation. There was plenty of companies that started doing remote work and things like that as well. So I mean, I think that's super important, especially for a parent with a young child. I would love for my wife to be able to stay home, but it would drive her crazy. She needs social interaction. It's not gonna happen. We were during COVID. Our son was 2 at the time, and he tested positive, no symptoms, but he just had to stay home. So where we worked at, we had to quarantine ourselves for like 3 weeks. For me, the introvert, that was vacation. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to talk to anybody. I was golden. My poor wife bouncing off the walls every day.
Oh,
bouncing off the walls. She needs that social interaction. But yeah, I think that's, man. Yeah. So really just, I feel like the real answer there, and not to belittle it, but just to kind of summarize, compact it up, is almost like if you had enough to pay the bills, that was good enough for you. Yeah. It's interesting because I guess like, and this is kind of where, I guess this is kind of where my own ignorance kind of shines. Like there is no one yet that I've asked this question to that's been like, oh yeah, I want my name up in the lights. I want to be the biggest streamer out there. Like that's what I want. And I was like kind of shocked that nobody's answered with that. But it seems like the more people I talk to, that's really all anybody really wants out of this. It's just enough to live the way that they currently live. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, especially people that have been streaming for a while, realize what that entails, right? Like it's a ton of work. And it's a balance of like, yeah, I realize I'm going to have a family, it's not even feasible to imagine or want, honestly, to be like this huge, big content creator. You're on all the time. You're having to edit 24, like you're putting out so much content
Mm-hmm.
that would be all your time. I mean,
Yeah. And,
there's no way.
and it's a business at that point. Like those people that's a business that they own. That's
It's a
there's people
business.
that they're paying, that they're running.
Mhm.
Like I feel
And
like
that's great for those people, but I know I don't have that in me.
I feel like I also feel like that's like for me anyway, that was one of the things that attracted me to getting into that. I
Oh, it
didn't have
attracts
this
everybody because you
I
think you're
didn't
gonna
have yeah, because I don't have overhead, I don't have to tell anybody what to do. I can clock in whenever I want. I can wear pajamas all day. It doesn't matter. Like that's those are the things I looked forward to. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I could. And I think we all go into it like being like, well, I could, and I'd be a bit. And then you start doing it and you realize how much work it entails. And you're like,
Reality is a bitch. And it has no issue with putting you in place.
no. And then once you talk to people this far along, we're like, no.
No. And to be honest,
I'll be able to see my children and not live in this room if I like when I have them. So
you wouldn't. You know, I found for me it was. I think early on I might have thought the same thing for sure. I was like, oh yeah, it can't be that hard. I'll create content. Maybe it'll get big and I'll be like huge and buy a Lamborghini or something. I don't know. I don't know what I would do with all that anyway. Like I live a pretty simple life, but I didn't really know. I never really thought about that whole, especially when I was creating content. I never really thought about that just paying the bills aspect and how easy and how nice that would actually be. And I guess I got a little delusional, to be honest. I was like, I was a little delusional. So, but my thought was, if I just keep grinding away at it, it'll eventually happen. And the truth is that that's not always the case.
And that's the thing that I think people struggle with is it. I've had a few people reach out to me and they're like, well, so, do you have any advice? I've been streaming for 2 years and I'm trying to get affiliate. And that's where I struggle with. I'm perfectly happy to continue to give advice. But if you're going 2 years and you haven't gotten affiliate yet, I would like to come see what your streams look like to give you advice because it's not for everybody. And I worry that some people are going to do that and continue to do that. And maybe there's just something that they're missing it's not attracting people. And I can't help you with that because most people that get affiliate, it's, 1 month to a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And if it's going on 2 years, I mean, you only got to average 3 viewers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to get, it's cold-hearted sounding sometimes, but you do have to look at it.
It makes me sound really mean, like, I have the thing you don't have. But like,
but you do have to be realistic with it. Like,
it's not for everybody because if everybody could do it, then people wouldn't be making money off of it.
Yeah, like society
would do it
because all of our plumbers and electricians would all be sitting here playing Twitch and not doing it. So I'm kind of glad it's not that easy, or else we'd all be pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's real easy. I think this is one of the quote unquote career fields you could go into where it's probably the easiest one to go in there with the wrong expectations. It's super easy.
And there's no school or anything to prepare you.
No, and this is something I said kind of early on when I started really bugging about this. Like if you Google search like how to make videos on YouTube or how to be big on Twitch, like the first 20 hits are all going to tell you the same thing. They're all going to tell you the same thing. So it's I don't know. I think if I hadn't got partnered with YouTube in 2 years, I'd have walked away from it for sure. I don't think I would have put up with it that much longer. No,
and it's because the advice we're giving is like, oh, it's a grind, just keep going, play what you enjoy, regular schedule, like all that stuff. And it's like, well, if you're doing that stuff and it's been 2 years, I don't know if my advice can help you.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, at least for me anyway, I was just I was following those same suggestions. I was watching
Yep.
other content creators and not copying them, but definitely learning from them, you know?
Well, then you have people that come into your streams and they're like, I'm a streamer. Can people follow me? Or like they message you and they are like, we should do something together. And it's like someone who like has 2 followers and just started. And I'm like, you gotta
Yeah, you got to experience.
I would like to help you. I'm like, I have no idea what kind of person you are or if I would want to stream with you. Like, I'm not just gonna like stream with everybody that wants to stream with me because I would be someone that my community would enjoy. It doesn't. I'm like, this doesn't benefit me at all. And then at the end of the day, it sounds bad, but it's like we all went into this for some reason. It's not to just help everybody else.
Right. Yeah.
Get big. It's an understanding of, and like the people coming in, it's like, that's again, and maybe you just have to learn, but that's not how you do it.
No, and that kind of equates to anywhere in life, though. I feel like
Yeah,
you can't get it handed to you that easy, because if you do, you're going to take it for granted. You're not going to actually appreciate it. You're not.
well, it's far and few in between that I think that people even follow the people that are say things like come into someone else's stream and say, hey, follow me. Not a lot of people are going to say that's the kind of person I want to watch, is someone who's going to do that. Because that's, I mean, it's icky. For lack of another more eloquent way to describe that.
So do you experience that like fairly often? Does that happen often?
As it'll depend. As I've gotten more followers and if I have a higher viewer count, I've noticed it happens more. Like if you have a higher viewer count, you just draw people in that will want to do that, or that will come in and mention their streams a lot. And usually my mods whisper them or message them and say, hey, when you click on the thing that says to chat, it gives you the rules, which shouldn't be surprising because most streams don't want other people coming in and promoting themselves. Yeah. Because it's just etiquette. And I think that with any job, I think you, and like you had said, it's one of the things, career paths that you go into and you don't know what to expect. I think with a lot of jobs, same for me with streaming, you come in with some expectations and then you actually start doing it and you realize like half the stuff you believed is wrong. Even with teaching, I went to like 5 years of school and I got a master's, and I turned around and I was teaching and I was like, I was not prepared for half of this. They did not prepare me for any of it. And you learn on the ground. And so I think people don't, and you don't expect that with jobs, but you to some extent expect that like hands-on will be different. And I think that with streaming, the same thing applies, but people don't realize that. Where once you start, you're going to realize, oh, there's all this etiquette I didn't know. Oh, there's all this stuff that I have to do behind the scenes. Oh, there's blah, blah, blah that I didn't think about. And I had a lot of that when I started. I was like, oh, I've been doing this wrong. Oh, you learn, but that's the thing, is you have to be open to learning and not just like do your own thing and come in places and do or say whatever. And it's not going to work.
I've seen that happen a few times too. And I mean, it's one thing if they come in and they're nice about it and they're part of the community and you get to know that person.
Oh yeah.
Then by all means.
But all means.
But if you're just going to use somebody as a stepping stone without any care about the outcome, I think that's just somebody looking for the easy way.
This isn't for you because you're not going to get very far based off of that.
Because it doesn't work. Like I'm sure there's exceptions to the rules, right? Like I'm sure there's exceptions to that, but by and large, it isn't. I mean, I'll be the first. I definitely thought it was easy, and I had no idea what the hell I was talking about, because it's not.
It's not. Well, and some people, and I didn't watch a lot of Twitch before I started streaming, which is strange. I watched the Smite game Twitch account because I liked watching like the championships and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But because they do like Smite World Championships where the teams play and like all esport things, and that was like my experience. And other than like a few people that I would watch. And so I didn't know like a lot of people that there have been people who are like, oh, I got affiliate in like a month. And it sets an expectation for people that are asking that that's a thing that should happen and it's possible. And it's like, well, but if you ask them, they were on Twitch, they were in people's communities talking, and like they were everywhere. They were marketing long before they actually started streaming. So it was really easy for them to get to that milestone
Mm.
because they already had people that would rate them and would do. I had no idea any of that. I just started and I was like, oh, that would have been a really smart idea.
I was gonna say that would actually be. I think that's probably the best way to do it, regardless of
Yeah.
what platform, right? Like it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. Like interacting with all of the people that perhaps do the same thing that you might want to do,
Hmm.
and then start creating content later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I feel like you get a better understanding of it. I
yeah,
have changed drastically over the year. When I watch my VODs from a year ago, I was a totally different streamer.
yeah.
I just talked differently. I acted differently. And it's not that I wasn't being myself, which is really strange to think that I talk and act drastically different, but I don't feel like I'm any less myself now than I was then. I don't know what changed. It's hard to like pinpoint a
Mm.
thing, but I think it's just comfort
I was
and
going to say, yeah, from my point of view, that's what it was for me. It was just being
getting
uncomfortable in
more
the
comfortable.
beginning, and then you slowly
And you're
get there.
being
Yeah.
yourself, but you're stiff and you're looking too much at chat and it's not as fluid and
Oh yeah,
things like that. But
like learning how to drive. You're kind
eh,
of all over the place in the beginning, and the brakes are squealing, and yeah,
and I think if I had watched some people stream and I had seen how that looks, I don't think I would have jumped to where I am now in terms of how I acted, but it would definitely have been, I think, a little bit less stiff.
yeah,
I wouldn't
probably.
cringe watching myself. I mean, I still cringe because who really likes to listen to themselves and watch
I
themselves?
hate going through my own.
Yeah.
I
Who
hate
really
editing.
enjoys that?
The
But
editing process for anything, I absolutely hate it. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I hear you. It drives me crazy.
People can say whatever they want, but I'll watch myself and go, ooh.
I get tired of it. Yeah, especially because I think because I didn't know how to edit videos and I didn't really know what I was doing, I would constantly be listening to the same like 4 hours of gameplay that I'm trying to cut down over
Yep.
and over and over again. And at the end, like even after editing, I don't feel like I wanted to talk to anybody because I didn't want to hear my own voice.
Yeah, you
So
feel like
tired
you
of
had done, and that's a weird phenomenon of post stream. This isn't ever really talked about either. After I'm done streaming, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Nope.
And people are like, but you were just playing games. And I was like, no, though. I know that they weren't talking back out loud, but I just had like 200 conversations over the course of 7 hours. I'm like, so it may seem like I don't need, I just need silence. I just need to go sit. I'm like, be comatose, pull my blanket up. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
No, well, I know for me it was definitely because of I tend to be more introverted, so
Yeah.
that my battery's charged when it's quiet, and it's draining when it's all this stuff going on. So
I get
when
really
yeah,
discombobulated if I go do something. Discombobulated is quite the word, but when I go do, like, if I have to like stop stream and I have to go do something, my like brain is still like catching up. And also I think it's because you're playing a game, you're juggling conversation, you're doing
right.
this and that, you're doing something. Your brain is working very hard.
Yeah, on
I think
like
that's
6
where I
different
get.
things. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, for
I think
sure.
that's where I like talking to the people, but my brain just needs a minute because it worked really hard for however long. And as much as I'm an extrovert, it is still, and even with teaching, it was like this. You're on the whole time. There's no
Mhm.
point unless you take that break. And during the teaching day, it was the same. You're on all the time. There's not a lot of jobs that require the duration that you're there to be on. You could be at your cubby and desk and just like be slouched over and be silent and not talking. And in streaming and in teaching, both, they're not that way.
Right.
You gotta just be on it. And as much as that's natural, it's also still tiring.
Well, it still requires focus. Where focus requires energy. Energy drains you.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. I really do. Man. Yeah, I guess even the most extroverted extrovert is still going to run into that, right? Yeah, like everybody still has a gas tank at the end of the day. It's
My
not
brain
infinite.
can't handle all that work.
No. Yeah. I had the luxury of I would stream at nights too. So like after the stream was done, 5 minutes later, I was in bed.
Yeah.
And I was tired.
Uh-huh. I don't sleep like how I sleep after. That's not true. My brain keeps going for a little while, so I have to like sit and like wait for my stream summary so I can just look at it and like work on people for a minute. Just give my brain time to like, you're not doing this anymore. Come down. It's okay. And then I pass out. It has been nice going from like 6 p.m. to midnight is what I've been doing for the summer versus what I was doing before where it would be like 8 o'clock and I'm like, my day is done.
Yeah, I can't do anything else.
I'm all done. That was it. I worked and then I came home and I streamed and now I'm all done.
You mentioned watching the statistics. Is it sometimes hard to unglue yourself from that? Do you think?
Oh yeah. I think it was another big thing that I focused too much on at the beginning, for sure. I got very stuck on how many people were watching me and when people would flux in and out and like just looking way too deep into it. And people have plans. And like now it's like I see like the number just because it's on OBS, but I understand that like people are gonna like leave and go do stuff and come back and do whatever. And it's not that big of a deal because I've learned the fluctuation doesn't change my numbers that much. It's still around the same. But even then, not focusing too much on the numbers because I think people can focus, especially when you're pushing for partner, where you're really wanting that 75 average viewers and you're focusing on it, and you're no longer enjoying. I've seen streamers who have done partner pushes, and you can kind of tell when the numbers are like dipping that like their mood and their personality and all the things that you love about them are like muted because it's affecting them. And it's hard not to let those things, especially when you're pushing and you're like really close in numbers, like not to let that affect you, but also you gotta.
There's a balance because I feel like it's still a goal, right? You set the goal and you're aiming for that, which you should do. So you should be doing whatever it is you need to do to get there. But there's a balance where you do too much and it's just gonna drive you crazy.
Yes. And it's that nice balance of yes, absolutely keep track of your statistics because you are pushing towards a goal.
Yeah.
But also don't let them get you down if you're down numbers for a little while. Maybe it's summer and it's nice out and less people are watching, or maybe it's blah, blah, blah. Like you don't know.
Yeah, that expectation, that's probably something that I would probably tell anybody is to eliminate as many expectations as you can when you get into something like this because
people are unpredictable.
Yeah, and to me, I've always kind of had a mentality, and I think I talked to somebody about on this before. Like in my mind, an expectation is no bigger than it's nothing more than a hurdle, right? So like, if you don't clear the hurdle, it's going to put you in a negative mindset. If you make it over the hurdle, well, it's not really so much as a positive, so much as it is a contentment because things have gone according to plan. So the only real way to get a positive reaction out of it is to clear this hurdle by leaps and bounds, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of setting yourself up. And for me, in my experience, life throws enough hurdles in front of you whenever it sees fit anyway. So I'm going to do my best to not add any more to it.
I'm usually terrible at that, but like in my personal life and on my own, I set hurdles for myself all the time. So I also try to mitigate those.
And I don't do it perfectly at all. I still do it from time to time. I think it's just human nature. It's human
but
nature.
It's being conscious of it, seeing that you did that, because then it's a lot easier to double back and take away those expectations if you recognize what you're doing.
I think it's probably more helpful early on. You know, I talked to a guy. It's probably like the second one that I talked to. Like, awesome story. This guy just, his life experience and streaming experience is absolutely wonderful. The podcast I did with Buddy. And one of the things he suggested that I started doing and that I actually found was really helpful, he's like, only check your analytics once a month. I said, what? He's like, just check it once a month. I'm like, and I kind of smiled and nodded and went with it. But later on, I was like, I can do that. It lasted for like 4 days and I couldn't take it anymore. Like 4 days was like the max. And finally at that point now where that's it. Like, so I don't know how Twitch does it, but like YouTube will send you like a monthly like email. Like, this is what happened on your channel in the last month. And aside from certain comments that I'll reply to, I don't check the analytics. And it's been a lot easier actually.
I'm sure.
Actually, I'm not as worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Twitch sends a summary after you end each stream. They
okay.
don't send a monthly thing. So you could choose to just wait to see how your month went and look at the streams in order and tell a story, right? Like,
You could.
oh, look at the numbers going up, or ooh, look at whatever trend if you want to look at it. It just sends one as soon as you like within the hour after you finish stream, it like downloads the summary of how it went and
Mhm.
sends it to you. But I look at it, although usually I tend to, just because I'm more of an optimist by nature, that I look at it and I'm like, oh, here's the stuff that went better today, and then I close it. So
I mean, if you can keep that mentality, I think that's really good.
yeah. Now I don't know what's going to happen if I ever get to the point where I'm pushing for partner. I think then I set some healthy boundaries if I'm starting to get upset about numbers again, because I'm
That'd be
happy
more
where
fun.
I am right now. But I mean, as I try to grow, if I like don't grow for a duration of time, I might get stuck on it.
Mhm.
And that's what you don't want.
Right. So obviously during well, not obviously, but during the summer it doesn't seem like it's as difficult, but like during the school year in the profession that you're in,
Hmm.
how do you best manage your time between all of that? Between job, streaming, home life, personal, like how do you best find what's the best way to balance all that?
I do lots of meditation and yoga.
Hey, whatever works.
I do. But I whenever I make my stream schedule, I always talk about it in advance, like when I'm changing over. Even for the summer schedule, I sit down with my husband and I'm like, okay, so you're working, we do this, this, and this, softball's on Thursdays, or we look at the schedule and I'm like, okay, what days can I stream?
Hmm.
Obviously, it has to be nighttime. How long do I want to stream? How many days a week do you want me to be available? Blah, 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 just to make sure that it's fair to both of us.
Oh, for sure.
And do that. I always leave Fridays and Saturdays free, even during the school year. Just because those are usually days where we're with friends. And like that's my social life calendar. So I don't want to take that away.
Hmm.
But during the week, it's pretty easy to just come home from work, cook dinner, stream for 2 or 3 hours, and then go to bed. And it's not like we do too much on like a Monday night. So
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah, that part's not so bad.
Yeah, I think, and you said you've been like making shorts on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you think creating videos is harder, or do you think live streaming is harder for you?
Oh, videos.
Yeah, yeah.
I could talk all day to myself and play games, but actually taking the time to sit down at a video and watch clips and try to edit things and make fun things in there and think, I don't know what it is. It is not a skill that I have. It is a skill I need to acquire. It is a learning curve for me, for sure. Talking is easy, but watching myself talk and try to make it look smoother and look all this nice stuff that people do and make a thumbnail. I have learned that when I Photoshop things, it looks kind of like a child did it. Like if I gave my students Microsoft Paint, that's what mine looks like. So I'm just working on it. I recognize that I don't have the skill set right now.
Oh man,
Just pay someone to do it at some point. Just take it off my plate. Here's my video.
Man,
I wish.
I hear
I
you.
had someone
And
email to offer that, except for it was a very creepy, weird email. I'm starting to get some emails to like my gaming email account, which is like random things. Like, I got an email the other day that was no subject from some random email that just said, let's play together. And then there was no signature or no anything. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah.
yeah, I've gotten like, I think it. I don't know if it's just YouTube doing it, but right after I hit 10,000 subs, I think they started sending me like random companies that do like server hosting that I've never heard of before in my life. And I'm like, I've been around in this community for a little while. I feel like if I haven't heard of you, there's probably a reason.
You're probably a scam.
Yeah.
It's also strange. I get a lot of like, oh, what's that game? Shadow Legends or whatever.
Raid Shadow. We have a running joke on my community.
Oh my
about this.
God.
Please go on.
Hey, do you want to? We can sponsor you. You just mention us every stream, and I'm like, no, I don't play your game, so why would I do that?
I badmouth those advertisements every chance I get. I don't know how many times I've streamed and made fun of them, saying, you know, I was about to like go use the bathroom or something, and I'd be like, stay tuned for this ad. You know, this stream is sponsored by Rate. No, it's not. Oh God.
Yeah.
It's just so hollow because you know nobody's playing this game.
That's the thing. If I'm ever going to do a partnership, like I've gotten a few other games that have reached out that it's like I've never heard of, or they're not games that I would have ever played. Why would I promote something that I wouldn't do? That's dumb.
Exactly.
I'm not going to do that. I don't know why people would. It's not worth it. It's going to feel dry coming from you if you don't play it. Like,
yeah, they would have to be like a retire tomorrow paycheck for me to do that.
Yeah.
Like there's just no, and even then I would probably say that.
You got to buy me out as for that to happen. But I even struggle. I feel like someone who I would, because of my energy level, doing energy drinks would be something that would potentially be a thing, except I don't handle caffeine very well. At all. I'm very caffeine sensitive. So I struggle with all these streamers do Advanced GG and Rogue Energy, and energy drinks are so big with partnerships, and they're so broad, and a lot of people
back in the day. Yeah.
And it's a really good start for a lot of people to experience partnerships. So I struggle with, I would love to do that, but I can't drink them. I mean, I could, but I get very like jittery and weird, and I don't feel good. And it's like, there's no grace period where I just get to experience the positive effects of caffeine. It's just, I'm jittery and then I crash. If there was like an in between where I like got to enjoy it a little bit and like got to feel energetic, it'd be great. But it's not. So I'm like, does anybody have like a hydration line?
There you go. Yeah.
Like,
sort of
because
I don't know.
Right. It's because that's a really big thing. And it's like, as I think about like where my next steps would be partner and maybe partnerships is like, what can I even do? That like is an easy thing that a lot of great gamers do. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either, and I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't think I would ever run a sponsor on something that I don't actually use or know about or trust.
Mm-hmm. And I would want it to be something that I don't have to like use it every day now, but something that I would maybe incorporate into using every day when I start promoting it, because that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like a product or whatever the case is, or a service or something like that. Yeah, I'd be more inclined to like low key test it out first and see what I thought about it, and then reply to them and say yes or no.
Yeah. Give me that Manscaped. No, I'm just kidding. My husband would appreciate that.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
I would make far too many jokes. I'm not allowed to have stuff like that.
But that company runs on those jokes, though, so it would only be good for them.
It would be great. So, like, that's where I would thrive. I make a lot of dirty jokes.
I hope Manscaped hears this. So when did you think you started seeing like have you seen a lot of those people like trying to do partners with you at all yet, or no?
One, I am getting a care package from one company.
Awesome.
This week.
Fantastic.
It's my first one, and I freaked out, and I was like, oh my God, I'm important enough.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Someone reached out to me. Yeah, that feels weird.
I bet it does. Have you had any like game developers like reach out to you at all?
Not that I know of.
I'm surprised. I don't. So I had a company reach out to me, and I didn't believe it was actually happening because they were like,
to like test a game.
Yeah, but they gave me like they gave me a stream key and wanted me to test it out. And
yeah, I had one recently reach out, but I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't trust it.
I actually looked up the company. I was like, "There's no way this is legit. It's just some like spam bullshit." And I looked it up, and I'm like, "Oh wait, no, this is real. Like I actually know what this is." And it was like
I had one that reached out, and I put it in a folder. I was like, "Bye. I'll leave this there."
Oh man. I think video game companies should do that more often, though. I think if you're a
Mhm.
legit video game company, like a legit dev, man, I'd be handing stream keys out to so many people.
Oh my god, get people to test it. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
like,
Like, yeah.
I mean, and especially in the early access day and age that we live in,
Mhm.
like, man, that would
People
be.
love early access.
Yeah, instead of doing it for early access, I'd be like find everyone with a Twitch account and send them a stream key right now, like
Right. That'll get everybody wanting your game. Like,
for real. And that time, the times have changed so bad because now a game will go into early access for like 2 years, and then you'll finally see the result maybe afterwards.
I know that's kind of crazy. Is people will release games that are even like there's a game that I really thoroughly enjoy on Steam that I play. It's another farming game, and and it's been in early access for like a year and a half, and I played through the story content and it's not finished. Like they released the game and the main storyline isn't done, but they're continuing to develop it, and that's kind of crazy to me. You're paying for a game that isn't done yet, and they're releasing it like not done. That feels so weird, but that's what people do now.
Yeah, and that was another thing that I talked to that guy Buddy about, and because he actually used to be a beta tester back in the day when they paid you to beta test a game.
I wish.
It's such a complete 180 now. Like it's just like
now they're like, we'll just have the world beta tested and we'll just send it to you guys.
Plus, like when a AAA game like came out, there wasn't a bunch of crap wrong with it. Like it didn't have anything wrong with it.
People release games with so many things wrong with them now, and you're like, a game like when it comes out that there's a potential that you're not going to be able. It's not going to be playable for a little while, which stinks because you're waiting on a date. A release date, and you're so excited, and then you play it and you're like, oh no, that stinks.
Yep,
that's bad. That happened with what game was it? Was it the newest Pokemon game or something where there were a lot of bugs and people all were trying to return it? There was some drama with that. Because it wasn't fully released. They were trying to do what other people were doing, but everybody's still used to Nintendo releasing complete games. Like they are probably like the
true, yeah. Actually, yeah. Anything
like
that I've never companies,
that all their games they release are done.
Wow.
Breath of the Wild, done. Like nothing's wrong with it. I know, and they just release finished games, but not everybody's like that, so it's strange. And then they did. It wasn't an incomplete game; it just had some bugs, but everybody's used to their games being bugless and perfect on release, so people threw a fit. And it's nuts because you're like, well, but all these other games. Everybody's just used to Nintendo's standards that they hold themselves to.
The curse of having integrity.
Right? Which is fine. They were like, no, yeah, we get it. We'll fix it. Like, good, because we want you to stay this way. I like to buy games that are done so I can play way too much of them and binge play them for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's such like an odd and I think I don't know, the whole early access thing, I think it's really only blown up in the last probably like between 5 to 8 years, maybe. Probably.
Yeah, it's newer.
It's such a. I mean, I guess to a degree, I get it, right? Like, let's have everybody in the world beta test my game, but I don't know.
And they would catch every bug, but also.
But the thing is now is like they'll put it out in early access for a year and they still won't fix it once it's released anyway.
Yeah. So don't do that if you're not going to fix it.
Oh man,
I agree.
Yeah. Is there anything coming out that you're excited for?
Well, the game that I was excited for came out. It was Story of Seasons farming game. Came out like a month ago. I've been playing that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so.
Yeah.
The only series of games that I really truly follow now are the Story of Seasons games, which is just a farming game that I play on my own. But the developers from the Harvest Moon franchise went there. So the good game is that one now.
Oh, wow.
But I've been playing Harvest Moon since the Nintendo 64. And I've had it on the 64, the Game Boy Advance, the DS, the GameCube, Wii, Switch. So I've been following it. That's probably the only series that I avidly follow and wait for release dates. And it's all farming games. You would be surprised how many different kinds of farming games you can make that are essentially the same thing.
I have a very limited experience, which are even from my own. Yeah, there's quite a few out there that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very like I always tell people, I'm like, the game you're probably familiar with, is Stardew Valley. Is like
I've seen a lot of Stardew Valley.
It's a good explanation of the style of game, except the graphics are not Stardew Valley graphics. Yeah, and then they changed some of the stuff, like but good explanation. That's the only game series I really follow. There's another one coming out later this year or early next year, but I'm just enjoying this one right now.
Any games that, well, not to spill the beans, but any games that you're contemplating adding to streaming, or maybe not? Or
so Hollow Knight, I tried last week. I really enjoy the game.
What is it? Hollow Knight?
Hollow Knight. It's a Dark Souls combat kind of game.
Oh, okay.
But it's you ever see Ori and the Blind Forest?
Yes.
So it's the same like pathing and same kind of gameplay. There's a name for it, but I don't remember what the kind of games are called. But where like you have a map and you have to basically find your way around to do stuff. And you're like looking at it at that angle. But I like the game. It hasn't been a game that I feel like my community has enjoyed. So I probably won't add that one. I'll probably just play it on my own. But
that's such a bummer when that happens, though.
I know.
You really love a game and you introduce it and you're like, damn it.
I'm like, nah. Next. We tried the Isle and I was horrendously bored. The Isle is a dinosaur game that people have given stellar reviews to. Everybody said they enjoyed. I've heard good things and I played it and I was like, but there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. You just run around and grow up and get eaten. And I need like an objective. So people are like, oh, maybe you should look into Path of Titans, or there's another one.
Oh yeah. Path of Titans.
Which has become big recently. But I'm going to look at it. I'll look at it, but I make no promises. Because I don't know. They might be too passive for me. Like at least with Ark, you're working up to the obelisks and doing the bosses and ascending to the next map. And in Gen 1 that I'm playing on now, I have 3,000 missions to do. So there's stuff to do to work towards versus like I can't do like I've never been able to do like Minecraft style. There's nothing like to me. I'm like I need a purpose, and I don't want to make a purpose up on my own.
I understand that, and for one, I wasn't a Minecraft fan in the beginning, mainly because I just didn't like the artistic design. It just wasn't my thing, even though I knew it was popular. Like I see the appeal, it just wasn't for me. But for the same reason, I think for me, I'm very task oriented. So I didn't have the task. I was like, I'm not.
Where are my boxes to check? I love checking boxes.
Exactly. Like I want to see mission complete show up top, or like some achievement music or something. Like
I need that, and I
need that.
I know I do. I need that in my life. So like even the farming games I play, you have a progression. You're supposed to like do a certain things and get somewhere. Like there's an end goal. Yeah. But so I struggled with that with the Isle. Like the end goal was to just grow up. Like just be a dinosaur and grow up. And that was it. But you couldn't do anything to make that happen. It just happened with time. And you just had to like not die. And I was like, so what do you do for the whole time while you're growing up? And they're like, just eat and drink water and not die. And I was like, that's not enough for me. I need more things. I need an achievement that's like you visited this area, or like you grew this old, or you ate this thing, or I don't know or care. But I needed more. So apparently Path of Titans has like missions, but I've been told that the missions are like to walk over to this area. And like, you made it to this area. And I'm like, well,
well, I had legs, so I'm not surprised.
I'm not sure that's enough for me. Yeah. I'm like, so I'll look into it.
Yeah.
But so I might add that game, but it's not sounding like my kind of game, which is the kind this is where you get in the situation as a content creator where it's like your community would love to watch you play this, but I don't wanna. So I'm not gonna.
That's what ended for me in Ark towards the end of it. I didn't want to play it at all, but everybody wanted me to. I was like, ugh.
I do play like spooky games like Phasmophobia and Demonologist and Devour sometimes when I'm talked into it. And Outlast Trials like twice. I don't hate them, but I hate them. I hate them because I'm a baby, not because they're bad games. I hate them because chat could like turn an alert on and I would scream. And it could be nothing scary, like just the sudden noise. I'm very jumpy, so I'll play those. And chat loves when I play those. I'm like, yeah, I'll play those ones every once in a while because I only want years taken off of my life like once a month.
Oh god.
So those ones I'll play.
I get it. Yeah, you got to make exceptions every now and then.
Those ones are fine. It's not they're bad games, they're good games. I'm just a baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. We're rolling pretty close to that 2-hour mark. So, plus, I'm hearing my son drive his mother crazy. So, it might be that time. I didn't realize. I say this every time, but I don't realize it until I actually over at least an hour and a half goes by before I even look at the clock and I realize all this time went by.
Time flies when you're having fun.
True. But yeah, I think unless there was something specifically maybe you wanted to talk about, I think we're pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be able to talk to you. And I will be sure to hang out. I'll probably check you out in some of your streams here and there, pop in and out. But
I appreciate it.
I really like the idea of being able to get these opinions and outlooks from different content creators because we genuinely are different individually. We have these different experiences, and I think that's really cool. For my own selfish reasons, because I get to pick people's brains and find out these questions for myself. But then also for people that are maybe getting into content creation, or maybe they're just viewers that don't know a lot of the other stuff that's happening around. I think it's just it spreads a little bit of knowledge all to all places too. So
It does. No, I appreciate you doing this and reaching out.
yeah, for sure. And if there's anybody that you might think that would enjoy doing this, please let me know for sure, and I'll
All right.
definitely reach out to them as well.
I will do.
I will shoot you. This will actually be coming out tomorrow, and I will shoot you a link as soon as it's there.
Thank you.
All right. Take care and have a good evening. I am going to go chase children around.
Have a fun evening. Bye.
Take care.